Good morning, everybody. This is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero with a special morning weather update because we have some things to talk about. It is March 15th, the Ides of March. Beware of the Ides of March, and we truly have to beware of the Ides of March this time. We had some severe weather starting yesterday that's going to continue through the U.S. and essentially start coming into our area tomorrow. But throughout the next today and tomorrow, it's not going to be the most pleasant in the Northeast. So let's talk about that, and I want to start with what happened yesterday. So let me bring that up over here. All right, so on the radar here, I do have this image. This is not what's out there right now. I pulled this up from the archive, so if you see there, this is at 10:59 p.m. last night, Eastern Time, daylight time now. This system right there, let me put it into motion, was quite intense. So we're seeing that strong line right there. We're also seeing these pink lines. Now the pink lines are not what was going on at that moment because the storm didn't go this way yet. So this is showing the shear tracks overall from yesterday and into today. But what's very interesting to overlay here, so if we look right at this storm system right there and follow that pink line, that is showing a pretty intense storm, and it looked like it was pretty long-lived because this shear track went for a very long time. Same thing with this cell right there. That shear track kept going. It dissipated, it looked like, and then reappeared and then dissipated. Because with tornadoes, you can have this hopping motion. And we do kind of see that where it may have formed a tornado there. It dissipated a little, formed a tornado, dissipated, formed a tornado, dissipated. And it looks like it was doing that. And in all of this, this is where we were seeing, it's not going to show it right now because it only shows active warnings. But there were a lot of tornado warnings out there. So that was last night, and that's what we're going to continue to expect to see as this system moved eastward. Now it's moving eastward into a little bit closer to our area, but not there just yet. So let me switch to the live radar. Now we're seeing something also very interesting we'll talk about a little bit more later in the video, but here is showing the categorical outputs from the Storm Prediction Center. That pink right there is something very rare. That is a high risk of tornadic activity. Now it looks like we're not seeing anything there just yet because the active tornado watches and active tornado warnings are concentrated right over here. So just pulling that up for you real quick, let's switch to one of these radars closer. Take a look. We are in Fort Johnson and zooming on in here. So it looks like we do have some active tornadoes right in there, or at least potential tornadoes, because you have to have a team go out and confirm them, which as of this recording, I have not gotten any confirmation if yesterday all the tornado warnings led to any active or confirmed tornadoes. So that information will be coming, and I will be posting about that. But here we have a lot more active tornado warnings, and if you are in that area, especially leading up, so like that's the top edge of the tornado warning right there. If you're near that area, that's where you want to enact your tornado warning plan right now. Seek shelter, get to that lowest, most interior room in wherever you are, whether you're home, in your workplace. You want to take shelter right now. So that's what's going on, going into from the Midwest or from the western part of the U.S., starting to travel into the southeast. But this system is going to evolve and come up to the northeast. Now, we don't have anything in our area just yet. If you look at the categoricals here, it kind of ends right there. So for most of the northeast, we're not seeing anything just yet. But we will talk about that. Now switching to the Storm Prediction Center's main website. This is what I was mentioning here. So that high risk for tornadoes, That's something you just don't see every time. That is a rarity, as I mentioned. So in there, if you live anywhere in that area, starting to get into the southeast US, be prepared to act. Today is not going to be a good day to just go out and have fun. Today is maybe the day to get your stuff ready to go in case you have to evacuate and you hear the tornado sirens. It's also a good day to have one of your emergency weather radios. Just in case, you lose power and a cell phone network goes down because all the cell towers are taken down. So that's what's going on for today. Now, starting to bring this into the Northeast, let's take a look at the convective outlook for tomorrow. Tomorrow, this is switching a little, or moving a little bit east and north, so northeast for us. There's no high, but we do have that slight risk throughout a lot of the southern eastern coast there. So there's a decent chance for severe weather. Then we have the marginal risk that actually goes up through, it looks like, just touching New Jersey and a little bit of New York there. That's the marginal risk. And outside there, that's not severe, but that is still saying there's going to be thunderstorms. So anywhere in those shaded greens and yellows for tomorrow has a chance for a thunderstorm. And then in the darker green and the yellow there has a more significant chance for severe weather, but not that high like we're seeing today in the southeast. So that's what the Storm Prediction Center is looking at. Now let's take a look at a couple things here. The first one I want to bring up is the satellite image. So this is long wave infrared. Now I've mentioned this before, this big system here, it's taking that comma Q, or big shrimp in the sky shape, where we have the center of the low there. We have energy coming in. So here's the Gulf of Mexico, that we have energy and warm, moist air coming in off that. It's getting funneled in right through here. It's coming in, it's starting to hit this area. And that's where we're seeing all of these severe weather potentials today, or just severe weather right now, because the energy coming in off the Gulf of Mexico is meeting the terrain, and that's what causes some issues at the ground level. But also, because there's so much energy, that's where we get that going up into the atmosphere. So what we're seeing here with those reds, that is technically cold clouds. Now we can infer the red to be a dense or a tall cloud, or just a tall cloud. Because the colder it gets there, that means the cloud's going higher and higher and higher up into the atmosphere there. So we're seeing these tall clouds in spots there. Now, anywhere you see a tall cloud, that means we have the potential for a tornado. The typical height, I would say, is 40,000 feet. Once a cloud reaches that 40,000 foot mark, that means it has a lot of energy in it, and that's kind of what we're seeing in those reds there. Tornadic activity is possible. Now, looking at the rest of this picture, the center of the low is there. We have this gap in the middle. Again, that is the dry slotting, because it's pulling in air all around. So it's pulling in, say, cold air in here from Canada coming in, and that colder, drier air is calming for the atmosphere. So that's why we see fairly clear conditions. Even like here, it's showing like very sunny. You can have severe weather happening right over there, but then sunny skies right over here, just one state over. That's what's happening. That's how dynamic this system is. So this is going to keep going, and then what it looks like, and we'll look at the forecast models next, this system's going to move a little bit east and then dissipate and reform as the center of the low kind of comes around and up into the northeast. So that's what we're going to see next. And let me bring up our first forecast model here from the good old Tropical Tidbits. So this is the GFS, and this is the 6Z run, it looks like, from today, the 15th. So there's the center of the low. So let's go through this. So it's moving east. Kind of looks like it's dissipating, but there's still a lot of energy there. and then it reforms a little as it starts to head our way. And that time frame right there, that is 8 p.m. now, because of daylight saving time, 8 p.m. Sunday. So this is saying tomorrow evening, we're going to start seeing very intense weather coming through. Now, right at this point, this is 6Z. I'm going to focus right over New York City here, and I'm just going to bring up the sounding. So first thing I always like to look at, for here particularly, most unstable Cape, that's not actually showing much. It's only showing 1 joule per kilogram. But this here, there's 2 lines. There's the temperature and the humidity line, or the dew point line. That's how you calculate humidity. They are right on top of each other. So from the surface all the way up through here, which is 200 millibar, that is the top of the atmosphere. Because then we start seeing temperature increase with height. So that means we're in the stratosphere, and weather doesn't happen in the stratosphere, really. So all of this being the troposphere, the entire troposphere, from ground up to the tropopause, the transition between troposphere and stratosphere, the entire weather part of the atmosphere is saturated at 100% humidity. That means we have a lot of energy, especially getting high humidities up to 200 millibar there. So that's quite a lot to deal with. And also, just a little bit on the photograph. So this is where we're seeing the wind directions as you go up in height. So here, as we have the height going up, we're seeing a little bit of a curve there, and then a little bit of a curve. I don't think this is enough to be tornadic, but this curving could mean that there's some severe thunderstorms in there, because we have that little bit of a twist. I don't think, based on that photograph, that's enough of a twist to cause a tornado. But there is here a little bit of some twisting in the atmosphere. So that's what the GFS is saying. It looks like miserable, kind of meh, drish, as the, I think it's Irish, because St. Patrick's Day. We have a Peter Drish day today. Sorry if the accent was wrong, but drish was a term I learned that just means it's gray and meh out. And that's what we're going to be seeing today, and for the day tomorrow, until this comes through tomorrow night. So that's the GFS. Now also I just want to show on the Euro here. Oh, it was too far out. There we go. All right, so there's that same center of the low. We're going to watch it come through. It kind of dissipates a little. Then all that energy coming in from the Gulf of Mexico reforms and starts to get very aligned right there. And that line, that right now is showing 0Z Monday. So that is 8 p.m. tomorrow. So timing is pretty much on par. We'll go one more to 6, or that's 3Z and 6Z. So here it's showing that intense line, tiny bit more east. This is showing over the Twin Forks of Long Island. But let's see, it's kind of the same thing, where we're seeing on the SKU-T here, 100% humidity from ground up to here, just a little bit of a dip in the humidity there, so you get a little bit of a drying, but that's still, marked there is still 300 millibar. So from the ground to 300 millibar, you still have a fully saturated atmosphere. So that's the Euro, the icon. Let's take a peek at this. Same thing, it's showing there's the center of the low right now. All that energy is still there, continuing the charge eastward. Then it starts to thin out, but it's almost like kind of like a figure skater. It slows down, if you notice. It was tightly wrapped in here and moving fast, and then it's spreading its arms out like the figure skater. So when that happens, you slow down, and it looks like it's slowing down right now. And then right at this point here, that is also 6Z, quite intense, and that's showing also kind of right over Long Island. So between 0 and 6, so between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. Tomorrow night, that's where we could see, again, more intensity. Oh, the icon doesn't have a SKU-T. And the last one I'll show you here is the NAM. So we have the 12-kilometer NAM, and this is also the 6Z run. So there's the center of the low, and also this is simulated radar. This isn't an average precipitation rate. So that's going through. It kind of looks like it's dissipating there. The energy is still there coming off the Gulf of Mexico. This thins out and gets long, so it slows down, but it keeps its shape as it starts making its way through the area here. So this is now starting to get into Connecticut at 3Z, so that's 11 p.m. No skew T there, but you know, that spot right there, that is Connecticut. That's showing that pretty intense spot or a cell right there. But I would assume, even though I can't get the skew T from Tropical Tidbits for this forecast model, it's pretty much the same as what we've been seeing, which is a fully saturated atmosphere from the ground up to 300 or 200 millibar. So pretty high up there. All right, so that is it for the forecast models. The last thing I wanted to show you super quick was temperatures. So this is where, kind of what I was saying, all that energy is coming in off the Gulf of Mexico. So we have that warmth funneling in, and that's where all of the intensity is happening right in there right now. That energy is still there. We're in the warm sector. That warm sector makes its way up. We're not going to see warm temperatures. It's just warmer than everywhere else. So we're seeing, it looks like, even going into upstate New York, it looks like low to mid 50s there. We have 60 degrees in southern New York, and then we got upper 50s going into New England, just right up here in the green. Northeast New England, it's still going to be, it looks like, in the upper 40s and low 50s. Let's get to Canada a little bit different, but that's still that energy coming in. And then once the cold front really comes through, so this is that 0Z Monday, so that's 8 p.m. tomorrow. There's the line that thins out that strip of energy, which is the temperature. And then behind it, it's not cold, it's just cooler air. That makes its way through, going into Monday and then going into Tuesday, where by Tuesday, upstate New York could see below freezing temperatures again. So that's kind of what we're seeing. We are in spring. Meteorological spring has started March 1st. The celestial spring is coming up. That's usually around the 21st. I'll get the exact date in another video. But spring is here, and we're seeing these fluctuations in the temperatures, this roller coastering, and that is what leads to the severe weather that usually happens in the spring. All right, so that is going to be a wrap for this video. So I hope you all enjoyed a little bit of an in-depth look just through the weekend of the severe weather potential, but we truly want to beware of the Ides of March. Starting from now, if you are in anywhere in the southeast right now, be prepared for those severe weather potentials and that tornado risk. Then going into tomorrow, it moves east. So be ready for your severe weather plans. I do have a series that I put up, How to Prepare for a Storm. That was for a hurricane, but that can still be transitioned into any kind of severe weather, or just bad weather in general, snowstorm, or severe weather with tornadoes. So check that out. That's on the channel. That's just called How to Prepare for a Storm. And also check out my affiliate, which is bettersaferadio.com, so you can get some sort of an emergency communication radio. They do that for just in general emergency communications, but all the radios come pre-programmed with the NOAA weather radio frequencies. So if you lose internet and the cell phone network goes down, you still have a way to stay informed with what weather is happening out there. All right, everybody, this is Chief Meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Stay safe out there through this weekend, and I'll see you all in the next video.